Meal plans. What are the pros and cons of following one? And do we recommend it?
We get asked this question a lot, and in this episode, we reveal why our approach continues to get phenomenal, long-lasting results. And more importantly, why it helps clients positively change their relationship with food.
Hi, I'm James Davis.
And I'm Claire Davis.
We're the Midlife Mentors, here to lift the lid on how to achieve health and happiness.
The balanced, no-nonsense way.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Midlife Mentors with me, James.
And me, Claire. Obviously, James has got number one spot again.
Yes.
I got to introduce it for the first time in about 50 episodes last week. So back to James again.
So many people message us going, please let James be first.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
Actually, we have been overwhelmed by two things, actually. The first was the podcast from 2 weeks ago, Cardio versus Weights, that eternal question, which we're not going to tell you the answer to here. You have to go back and listen to the podcast.
Eternal question. It's a bit large on that. It's a very big statement, that one.
The stats have been really, really impressive for that. Loads of you obviously wanted to listen to the whole cardio versus weights debate. If you haven't, go back and listen to that. And then the one we did last week
was amazing.
Yeah, the feedback we've had people on that, and that was just about being okay with uncertainty and being okay where you are now.
Well, it was called Don't Force It, so apparently it really hit a nerve with lots of you in a good way. So it was coming from personal experience, and I think a lot of people really resonated with it. So do go back and listen to that. And also, what we would say, we love hearing from you. Thank you so much for everyone that does share their thoughts around our podcast. But what we would say is, if you've got any burning questions or anything that you really want us to answer, we can do a podcast around it. So never feel shy. Reach out to us at team@themidlifementors.com and just let us know burning questions that you would like us to answer on our podcast, because this is for you.
Now, we've got some exciting announcements and news for you. But before we go into those, we'll just tell you today, inspired by the obvious success of cardio versus weights, we thought we'd look at another one of the pillars that underpins our methodology, which is essentially around nutrition, and something we get asked a lot with clients is, can I have a meal plan? A meal plan versus kind of education and coaching. So today we are talking about meal plan pros and cons, and we'll delve a bit into what our approach is now. So that's what's coming. First, though, just want to say it's been amazing to have so many of you that have listened, that found us through the podcast, join the free Midlife Mentors community on Facebook. So many of you have jumped in there. We had a lovely coffee morning on Sunday. We're now doing those via Zoom, so they're a lot more interactive, and that worked really, really well. If you haven't joined yet, please do. It's a great community. We do these coffee mornings once a month. We're answering questions there all the time. People are posting useful tips. It's just a great place to be.
And actually, if you're listening to this in real time, because this comes out on a Wednesday evening, don't you know? Tomorrow, Thursday.
Well, probably be today when they're listening to it.
No, it goes out on a Wednesday evening.
Yeah.
So on Thursday the 6th, tomorrow, no less, at 12:30 UK time, we are running a 30-minute, completely free workshop on midlife health and happiness. We're basically going to be touching on the 6 pillars that we have used to help hundreds of midlifers transform themselves from the inside out.
Now, that is exciting, and you definitely don't want to miss that. There'll be actionable tips in there, but Claire and I actually spent some time planning. We've now planned a series of 6 of these workshops over the next 3 months, taking us through to July. So we're covering things such as the menopause, the andropause for men.
That would be so good.
Yeah,
it's not really touched on at all.
No, and these are all going to be half an hour bite-sized workshops, so really easy for you to fit in, and we're so excited.
And they're free, and it is literally the stuff that we have used, strategies, no-nonsense strategies, that's what we're all about, no-nonsense strategies, to really, really turn your life around in mind, body and soul, straight from where you're at right now. So we love doing these because so many people do say, I had so many aha moments and I've implemented that one thing that's made a massive difference.
Yeah, it's true.
So it's what a lot of approaches miss. This is why our approach is so successful for the long term, because a lot of approaches out there, I would say a majority of them, don't focus on the things that we focus on, that we're going to touch upon in our 6 pillars tomorrow at 12:30 UK time. And I'm going to put the link to save your seat inside the show notes here, so make sure you do that.
Also, just say, before we get into the meal plans, pros and cons, we're so excited by a guest we've got coming up. I'm not sure, probably in the next 2 weeks the podcast will go out. We have a genuine scientist that is a specialist in aging. So don't want to say too much more about that, but it's going to be absolutely fascinating because we've talked to them already.
Really, really excited to speak to that person, actually. Yay!
Hey.
Okay.
So
James likes to tease with these little snippets.
Come on, everyone likes a bit of tease, Claire. Everyone likes a bit of tease.
Oh, good grief. Okay, so moving on to meal plans as swiftly and as quickly as possible. So being really transparent, you know, when we first started doing our online programs, we actually did prescribe our clients meal plans. Like, I would say like a majority of PTs and trainers and everything do right at the beginning. But actually what we found, as we worked with more and more midlifers and as we kind of grew and evolved, we realised that actually taking an educational approach to nutrition is what creates long-term change and long-term success for our clients. So actually, that's what the Midlife Method does. We actually educate people through nutrition coaching, drip by drip. So it goes in. So it like really, really seeps into the psyche and changes habits for the long term.
Yeah, exactly. You know, someone might be thinking, oh, you know, I've got an idea what a meal plan is, but what is it? Listen, a meal plan is effectively a form of diet. It's a prescribed plan. Someone will give you a plan. You know, this is for 4 weeks. You are eating and drinking exactly this. So we're going to run through the pros and cons. You know, they've got their place and they do work. I'd say, you know, for a short-term goal, then great, you know, you're in complete control. But actually, for making it a lifestyle choice, the reason we moved away from them was, as Claire said, you know, the client isn't learning anything. You know, unless they want to just keep eating the same thing on rotation every month, it gets a bit dull, and you're not learning new things or embedding new habits.
No, and I think what we love hearing when people have gone through our 8-week program and beyond is these people that we've taken through on this journey. They're like, my relationship with food has completely changed. It is so much healthier, and they feel more empowered and in control, basically, of what they're doing with their meals. And I think just giving people a prescriptive meal plan, obviously it does have its place, like James said. We're going to go through the pros and cons, but just giving a prescriptive meal plan, it's not giving people that gift of changing their relationship with food and really, really helping them understand why they're eating things at a certain time, what combination of food works really well, all of that kind of stuff. So it's a beautiful thing that we actually did do that. So we can look at how that works and actually have decided to take our clients now through a very, very different approach that really, really gets amazing results.
I'll just say here, if we get into pros and cons, you know, in the Midlife Method, like Claire said, it's all about the nutritional coaching and enabling our clients to have the tools and the knowledge to make the choice themselves. But, you know, we do include what we call a sample meal plan. We go, look, this is here to give you an idea, an inspiration, but 100% not to follow, because we realise when people are starting out, we'll come on to the first pros, and people like that little degree, maybe like assurance and certainty. So the pros, the first pro there, if you're a novice, if you've got no nutritional knowledge, you know, if you think a Cornish pasty is a good meal choice for losing weight, having a meal plan that someone else has set for you, you know, takes away your uncertainty, and you'll need to think, you know, you're just like, I just eat this and I know it will work.
Yeah, exactly that. And the second point is that actually there isn't any need, just following on from that, there's no need to be really that creative and plan. Obviously you need to plan ahead. You can look at a meal plan and go, okay, this is what I need to get in. But actually you don't need to be that creative because someone's being really, really super stringent and restrictive and prescriptive about what you are eating.
If you follow the plan to the letter, and this is to the letter.
To the letter.
And this is going to be in the cons. In a
no
minute,
chocolate hobnobs.
You'll get the results. So it's, again, having that certainty.
Yeah, and actually moving on from that one, meal plans do tend to lead to I would say faster results if you are following it to the letter, right? So you're following it to the letter. It's been designed to get fast results mainly. So that is one of the pros, but that's not necessarily a pro in the long term.
No. And if you're feeling like, anxious about, doing things right, or, if you're like, oh, am I, again, if you've got that level of uncertainty, it does provide you that certainty going, right, I know I just need to eat this to the letter and the results will come. So those are the pros. I want to say before we get on the cons as well, it's about, we always go the education route because for long term, you want to make it about your lifestyle. But it depends where you're starting out and what's going to suit your lifestyle right now. I appreciate a lot of people don't always have the time or the inclination initially to want to learn this stuff. So, but I always say it is a short-term option, wouldn't you, Claire?
Yeah,
if you just wanted
absolutely.
to get started. And then what we see a lot is people want to get started with a meal plan. And then as they start to get the results, are actually, well, I can see how rigid and inflexible this is. So I want to learn more about it.
What I would say, even though we do have a sample meal plan in our programme, right from the get-go, people are educated about the fundamentals of nutrition, of good nutrition, healthy, nourishing nutrition. But actually just having that there is almost like a safety blanket to say, look, this is what, in line with what we're teaching you, this is what a normal day would look like, this is what a normal week would look like. And that gives people, that sense of comfort, a comfort blanket, takes away the anxiety a little bit, that they can actually go and check that if what they're doing just naturally is in line with our meal plan. So
there are the pros. The meal plan is what I'd call a done-for-you approach.
Yeah.
It's very certain. It gets results as long as you don't deviate from it.
Yeah, exactly.
And you don't have to think too much. And if you've got like low or no nutritional knowledge, you don't have to think. You're just into it. But what are the cons?
Well, actually, and also if you don't have support, if you're just taking like an off-the-shelf meal plan, that's quite helpful. But because we do supply support for our clients, one of the cons to meal plans that this is why we don't just use them, is they do not educate you. They do not empower you. They do not give you the knowledge you need to know in order to make this a lifestyle change.
Of course, they are restrictive. So, whatever is set for you is what you're eating. There's no flexibility in there.
Which is quite scary as well to some people, because if they do deviate, they're in a right panic.
Well, this is point 3, isn't it?
Yeah.
Con number 3.
They will, there's going to be times when life gets in the way and you fall royally off the wagon. And then here's the thing, you're not going to know how to get back on. A lot of people, when they're following that restricted meal plan and they fall off the wagon, they're like, oh my goodness, like I've completely messed up all my days now. I've got no idea how to get back on track. Have I really completely messed up the whole week? Have I messed up the entire meal plan? And it's a lot more psychologically, I would say, damaging to be on that meal plan when you fall off the wagon, because you don't know the small little changes you need to make the next day in order to get back on it again.
Exactly. Your motivation can fade. Obviously, like that meal plan can be exciting when you first look at it, but by week 3 or week 4, or if you're giving even longer, then it can be like, oh my gosh, I'm just getting a bit fed up of it.
Yeah, and then the next one is obviously it's so easy. It kind of alludes to the third point. It's easy to fall back into old habits when you're following a meal plan rather than knowing how to keep yourself on track for the long term.
This is the big one. Right, your lifestyle gets in the way. So it's all fine and dandy if you're like, right, I'm going to live like a hermit for the next month. I'm in 100% control of my diet. But what happens when you're like, you meet a friend for a coffee and you're saying like, oh, I just had a latte. Where does that fit in the meal plan? What do I need to do now? Or you've got a family event where you're eating out, you go out for a drink, you eat some cake. This is where people fall completely off the wagon. Also, stuff like the meal plan says a certain thing. You go to the supermarket, they don't have it in stock. Then you're like, oh, what's I substitute? So, yeah, the lifestyle one is a big one and the main hiccup. Obviously, if you're not being educated and coached, then you're lacking the knowledge and experience of like, okay, well, I can make this replacement, so I adjust in this way, that way. So
it's so true. And it also, meal plans, in my experience, for myself actually, but also from what I've seen in the industry, can really lead to like an obsession with food, like literally picking apart the amount of calories and everything, and yeah, it's pretty damaging in a sense, because you don't feel secure in yourself, you don't trust yourself, you don't feel as confident in yourself to make those choices just on your own because you're following someone else's meal plan. So it really does lead to this feeling like the food is controlling you rather than you are just living your life and making good choices based on what life is throwing you.
The other thing is, it's papering over the cracks.
The lack of knowledge,
you're not educating yourself. You're not changing your habits. A thing that if you listen to our podcast, is like, we don't believe in like a diet as a standalone solution anyway. You need to do the internal work. You need to look at changing your habits, changing your beliefs, changing your mental models. Without those, you're very likely to ping back. And obviously, an eating plan, that's why we say, maybe as a short-term fix, it can work, but in the long term, it's not really giving you the empowerment that you need to make those sustainable changes for life.
Yeah, which is why we do look at the whole person. Our approach is super, super holistic. It's looking at mind, body and soul. And all of these things impact your relationship with food. It all impacts how you comfort eat, how you use it to make yourself feel better. There's so many triggers for us with food. And actually just following a meal plan without any support doesn't give you any of that, which is why, we're so privileged and so grateful that we get to see such phenomenal change in people over, just even like a couple of weeks. But by the end of the 8 weeks, it's just amazing to see that what they've always thought that food's the enemy, something needs to be controlled, something to obsess over. And actually, at the end of it, they're like, oh my goodness, I can carry on just, making a few tweaks here and there. I can, it's all about the 80-20 rule, 80% of the time following the guidance we're giving them, 20% of the time just enjoying life, but actually just trusting yourself, having the belief, having the education and understanding about how to live a life, that you enjoy, that's not restrictive, that doesn't, create massive sacrifices in your life. Because like James said, that whole thing about you need to follow this over a period of time, but does that mean you're not going to have a nice meal with your partner or a friend, or go out for a drink, or go to a barbecue, and all these things that are going to be thrown at you? You need to know how to deal with them. That's where the coaching comes in, and that's where a happier life comes in,
totally.
And a healthy relationship with food. So, listen, we were asked this question. We do get asked it a lot. It was actually a listener of the podcast that asked us just to kind of clarify the pros and cons really of following meal plans. And as we said, that's what we started out doing. We do offer that as just a template in our program, but the coaching underpins everything. And that's the way I would honestly say, if you're sick of getting stuck in a diet rut, yo-yo dieting all the time, all or nothing approach, find something that really, really educates you for long-term change. It empowers you to take control of it. So you have more self-belief around yourself and you don't sabotage, That's the thing about restrictive diets and meal plans. There's a real tendency to sabotage because it's so easy to, because they're so restrictive. So just making sure that you follow something that's a little bit more educational and coaching-led, I think is really, really important, especially for us midlifers who've probably been yo-yo dieting for a long time.
So remember, if you'd like help with any of this, then reach out to us. We have a highly successful program. We run some one-to-one coaching. We have loads of free resources as well. Go to the midlifementors.com and you can find out more about us, or even book a call to speak to us if you're serious about, starting your health and happiness journey.
Absolutely. And just don't forget, I'll put the links to the Facebook group, the Facebook community, the Midlife Mentors community. Join that, totally free, full of amazing stuff. And also, we are going to be doing lots of 30-minute free workshops over the next 2 to 3 months. They're so exciting, all on different topics. But tomorrow, we're starting off with our 6 pillars, giving you the strategies that we've helped, embed in our midlife clients' hearts and souls and minds. So, if you want to join that, just click the link and you'll be taken to a page where you can register and save your seat.
So much love. Until next time.
Bye.
Yeah.
You've been listening to the Midlife Mentors with Claire and James Davis.
We'd love to hear from you. So drop us a line at info@themidlifementors.com with any questions or topic suggestions.
And make sure you join us on our Facebook page and YouTube channel. You can find us under the Midlife Mentors.
Yeah.